I took part in a free training back in 2016, a long time ago now. And it was back at a time where I really didn't know what direction I was taking. I hadn't long graduated from art school. It was 3 years after I graduated. 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 3, 4 years after I graduated from art school. And so I was in a state of flux. I tried to set up an art studio. It kind of failed. I had to close it down. I had babies. I felt lost. I wasn't making my art. I just spent 6 years working towards a fine art degree, and then I wasn't making art anymore. And I was completely lost. I was in debt. I was feeling inferior because I'd studied for so long and I wasn't able to get a job. I was, yeah, in a pretty bad way emotionally. And so I'm frustrated. I was frustrated too. And I felt very disconnected from the world because at that point, um, I had two very, very young children. They were still babies, toddlers. And I was at home all the time. And so, yeah, I felt very disconnected. So it was 2016 that I actually set up the virtual art studio, which was United Art Space Online, because I really missed being part of an arts community. And I set up the virtual art studio and I started to run art challenges on a monthly basis for free and started to grow a community and feel connected. And it was great because when I was feeding at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'd be sat online chatting to people and we'd all be making art together and it was wonderful. I started to, art started to connect me again to others, which is why I love art, because it has that power to connect you to other people. Without that, I felt lost. And so that was where it all began. And I remember at that same point finding, it was 2016. I remember that I set up United Art Space, but it'd been a thought for a long time before that. It'd been a very long time before. And so I remember finding Stu McLaren, and he was teaching how to set up a membership site, which is a recurring subscription based business model where you probably have come across it before if you're a member of ours. We have a subscription membership and people pay monthly to access amazing resources, a roadmap, a community, and we're helping people create, show, sell their artwork. And these subscription-based models are everywhere now. Netflix, gym memberships. You might have seen them on or heard of Patreon, where you can have your audience subscribe and they will access your artwork or your blogs or your podcasts. So they've been around for a while, but back then in 2016, I didn't think that I would be able to create a membership. It just didn't seem right. And I remember coming across Stu McLaren back in 2016 and I did his workshop. And to be honest, the first time I did it, he was introducing you to this membership model, but the training taught me so much more than that. It made me see that I had money blocks. I just remember doing his training and coming out of it really upset, but in a good way. Like someone had just turned all the lights on all of a sudden, and I realized why I was really struggling financially. I realized a lot coming out of that free training, which at the point of recording this starts this week. He's running this free training again. There's a link below if you want to sign up to it. So I didn't sign up to his course because at the end of the free training, he has a course. I didn't sign up because I was terrified and I didn't really have an idea of what I would do anyway, because I just set up this virtual art studio. I didn't really have anything. I didn't have a business, and I wasn't really ready to kind of like start charging people every month. That just didn't seem, it just seemed crazy. And so I spent the next year really working on my mindset, and I worked on building up United Art Space and doing more of these art challenges. And then I ended up setting up a membership site and doing Stu's course again the year after and actually taking his full program. And so, but it was that free training that really was the catalyst for me going away, working on my mindset, growing my audience, and actually starting to really think about what it is that I want to do here and how do I want to grow this. And it really opened a lot of aha moments in terms of how I was holding myself back. So that free training, this is why I want to share it far and wide. That free training was enough for me to kind of push forward to the next level. And I wanted to talk about this because there might be one person listening to this right now that it's what you need. It's going to impact your life. It's going to change your life. And sometimes we get so fixated on the one way of making money. So, I make the art, I sell the art, that's it. But there are so many other ways of creating income and stability financially from your creativity. And this is something that I really want to discuss because for me, it's really enriched my whole life rather than just looking at things as, right, it has to be this or it has to be this, and kind of looking at things holistically instead, and tying all your life together and setting up different things that can be a revenue income. And so for me, I've set up United Art Space, but it's all come from my art. Like, I could not do what I do today if I wasn't making art or if I hadn't made art. So someone said to me the other day, but you're not selling now, are you? And I said, no, but you're looking at things as matter of fact right now. If you look at my whole journey and where I've got to, and I couldn't do it without the art. I don't see that as a separate thing. It's crazy sometimes. I think how people get in their own way about, all right, I have to sell art and I only have to sell art and that makes me successful. And that's one way of doing it. If you can make a full-time living just from your art sales alone, then that's absolutely amazing. It's a good goal to aspire to. I'm not knocking it, but it's one way. And actually, I had someone reach out to me the other week saying, do we have to start teaching? Is that how people make money? And it's really sad that people are sometimes led down these different viewpoints or pathways because they think that that's what we should be doing. And in all of this, it's what do you want to do and how can you make that work? And so for me, it was looking at my own passions and my own strengths. I come to life when I do live videos. I come to life when I'm sharing knowledge. I come to life when I'm writing and pouring out my heart about art and why it matters. That's not me choosing the easy route or not selling my art because I'm crap at it, which is what a lot of people have said recently. It's about really being honest with what I actually really love doing. And I said this the other day that I could not be sat here 8 years on still doing this if I didn't really love it. And so part of this too, of creating a membership site, which is what I wanted to talk about, there are so many ways that you can think out of the box when it comes to making money from your creativity. And so, of course, it comes back to deciding what you want to do. And if you want to just make money from your art, physical art, then so be it. But if you do have an inkling of, well, I do enjoy giving back, and teaching my skills. I do have a lot of artists who follow me who ask how I do things. Maybe there's an opportunity there to pass that knowledge on in some way. But even if you don't want to go down that route of sharing your knowledge, there are so many other ways that you can create a membership, which a membership or a subscription. And I'm going to talk more about this with Stu. We're doing a live podcast actually in a couple of days. But there are so many ways that you can create this kind of subscription model, which is where people pay you on a regular basis to access. It could be community, it could be resources, it could be your own art, it could be postcards that you create of your art and people subscribe and they just pay you a few dollars or a few pounds each month and they're part of your world and they get access to discounts or they get access to you might post them a postcard every month when they subscribe. You can also do this for physical art products. So you can create like a subscription box, and every month you send journal prompts or pencils, or you can do it digitally. It could be a journal prompt membership where people subscribe, and you send them a journal prompt every month. Or, for me, when I was looking back years ago at setting one up, I chose to help people create, show, sell, with the emphasis on people getting their art out into the world and being visible, because I'd set up a virtual art studio and there were so many artists who I kept asking, what are you doing with your artwork? And they'd be like, nothing, because I don't know, it's rubbish, or I don't know what to do with it. And it wasn't rubbish. And I just kept thinking, wow, all these people are just sitting with this artwork and they're literally just not doing anything with it. And that spurred me on to help people find ways of understanding their own artwork and finding a place for it, and how to understand what it means and how to connect that with other people. Because for me, when you start to understand that, that's where your whole life starts to bring you to opportunities that you didn't know existed, to other artists that you're going to make friends with and be friends with for life. It's how you learn more about your own art. People will give you insights. The more you connect with other people, the bigger it all becomes. And so that was my drive for my own membership, and it's completely and utterly changed my life. It really has. It's, when I look back now to what I was, as a person, what I was, but even the way I lived my life, the thoughts that I had, I just cannot believe the transformation that I've had, financially, massively too, but also as a person. Like, running this membership site has literally changed me as a person, and it's taught me so much. So for me, it's been life changing, and so that's why I wanted to share this today, in case there's someone else sitting there. Because I was thinking, what if there's someone else sitting there and it's their destiny to do something like this? And I know friends of mine have gone on to do paint parties, and they have a membership teaching how to run paint parties. So they're teaching other people how to run paint parties. But you can have paint party membership, so you have people that subscribe and they can come to your paint parties. Or they can, pay as they go. But there's so many different ways when you start thinking creatively about what it is that you like. What is it that you want more of in your own life? And what is it that, when you're creating a community around you, an audience, what are people asking you for? And when you start to see beyond your own artwork, just as it is physically, you might be surprised that there are links into how you could monetize your own creativity in a bigger way. So a friend of mine, Sharon, she did this recently. She doesn't want a membership where people are paying every month and she's tied in, because Sharon's a full-time artist. Most of her dedicated time is towards creating and selling and exhibiting, and that's her main focus, and she doesn't want to take away from that. But Sharon does love giving back to people. It's a genuine passion. She's comes from a teaching background, so that's where we met. And so for Sharon, it's built in, and she really loves doing it. She loves speaking. And so she created like a pop-up membership recently, which was Clay Club. A lot of you might have taken part. It wasn't a course. It was kind of like a hybrid between a course and a membership, which it was basically a one-off fee for the month to access the community, and the community aspect was major. And Sharon released a video every week, and it was all about how to create a clay head. But that, in essence, was kind of like the membership, but just a pop-up one, just a one-off. And Sharon made over 15,000, for 1 month of work, and that enabled Sharon, because she's had lots of problems with the kiln breaking down, electrics. It wasn't the kiln, it was the electrics. And there's a lot of overhead sometimes when you're running your own studio, and people don't realize this, that all the electrics have gone down and they're going to have to spend thousands on electrics. And it's her business, she needs to keep that pottery going. And it just so happened that when Sharon ran Clay Club, the electrics went down, but luckily she's got the money now to put the money into sorting the electrics out. And it was like, wow, what a what timing. It was just so lovely that she could create this amazing experience, and she was doing it because she really wanted to. And then the money from that ended up being used because of this awful thing that happened. And if she hadn't have run it, she would have been like, oh my gosh, I've got to now pay for all the electrics. And so this is why I say to artists, if you can combine everything together, and your love of maybe sharing your skills, or maybe it's you love art materials and you want other people to have the latest materials. We've had people do that with the kits. So anyway, we're going to talk about this. Stu McLaren, my mentor, talks about this much better than I do. I'm just sharing from my own perspective. And I'm actually bringing in another friend of mine, Bonnie Snowden, next week, because Bonnie's made £1 million in sales from her own art and from teaching her art skills through a membership site. And she draws pets and animals. She does figurative drawings too, but super realistic. And yeah, she turned over 1 million, and she only started creating art, I think it was back in I can't remember, we'll get Bonnie in, but it was a few years ago. And so she's turned her whole life around to now have this £1 million business and 50% profit last year, which is mind blowing. Someone said to me the other day, there's no money in art. It's like, well, there is. I know lots of people that are making loads of money. And she's still making, she's got commission based art that she's still creating, and she's got a wait list until 2026. And this is the thing, when you start building that momentum and people start to know you, and this is where I think it's really helped Bonnie. She's now become this figure online who understands pencil drawing, and people will go to Bonnie because she's so well known now, and that's heightened the commission work that she gets. She's in the limelight and people are following her, and she's got a podcast, and it's all grown, and she never dreamt that it would grow into this. And now she's got a membership. And what I love about Bonnie is that she runs it all with other people running it for her. She spends all of her days making art still, because the whole business is set up with other people running it. And of course, she's still involved in the community and still involved in the decision making around the business and things like that. But she has grown a really great team around her to enable her to have this £1 million business, but still make art every single day. It's crazy. So that's why I want to bring Bonnie in to talk to you all as well. So if you have any kind of interest in this, go and check out the link below with Stu's free training. At the point of recording this, it's live, but you might be listening to the replay. So if you're listening to the replay, go and check out Stu. Anyway, he always has some kind of free training that you can take throughout the year that's maybe self-study, but this one that we're about to do is live. I'm going to be going through it again. It's time for me to refresh on everything that I'm doing. And yeah, I can't wait to hear how you apply this to your own creativity. If it rings any bells for you, where you think, wow, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could create a pop-up membership. Maybe I have lots of artists following me and it's been annoying me, but maybe there's an opportunity here. Maybe they want something from me. And I could just put something together really quickly. And this is the thing to think about. Sharon just does things really quickly. She just threw something together. And when I say throw something together, it took work, of course. But she made sure that it wasn't leaking in on her art time, because that is the priority. She's a full-time artist and she can't jeopardize that. And so she was very mindful of what is the quickest, fastest way that I can give people a great experience and give them what they want. And I think that's a great attitude to have. Great one to have. If you're a hub member, come into the community, have this conversation. If it's something that you're thinking about doing, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And take care. Have a great day, my friends. Bye-bye.